Welcome to Small Biz Flash, where owners and managers get their briefing on small business news, trends, and insights to make better decisions and increase their business's value. I'm your host, Adam Hewitt. Thanks for joining me. Implementing the right software can make your business hum with efficiency. But there are so many choices out there, where do you even begin? After the news roundup, Peter Penn of Sharpin Systems will tell us 3 types of software that are a must-have for every small business. All right, let's dive in. Keeping with the trend over the last few months, most of the indicators in the past week point to the economy's continued downward slide. But rather than starting off with facts and figures, we begin by noting that Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is joining the chorus of corporate leaders sounding the alarm about potentially rough days ahead, saying, quote, "The probabilities in this economy tell you to batten down the hatches," end quote. Now on to the data. In October, the economy contracted for the 4th consecutive month, according to the S&P Global Flash Composite Output Index, which tracks activity in the services and manufacturing sectors. The October preliminary number came in at 47.3, down from 49.5 in September. Any number below 50 signals the economy is shrinking. Businesses are increasingly dour on the state of the economy, according to the Federal Reserve. Last week, the Fed released its latest edition of the so-called Beige Book, a collection of economic anecdotes from interviews with businesses around the U.S. According to the report, U.S. companies are concerned about inflation and rising interest rates. They also expressed concern that as they raise prices, their customers are balking. Still, there are some positive signs too. Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan recently reported that the bank's consumer clients continue strong, though slowing, spending, and they also continue to have elevated deposits. Another bright spot? Jobless claims fell for the week ending October 15th. The figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was 214,000, a decrease of 12,000 from the previous week's revised level. This signals that widespread layoffs have not yet materialized. Businesses with no employees other than the owner are known as nonemployer firms and are a key part of the U.S. economy, accounting for approximately 4 in 5 small businesses. But the new 2022 report on nonemployer firms by the Federal Reserve finds that these small businesses are more likely to experience difficulties accessing financing than their counterparts with employees, which are also known as employer firms. Just 16% of the smaller non-employer firms reported receiving all of the financing for which they applied. In comparison, 29% of the larger non-employers received all that they had sought, nearly in line with the share of employer firms that were fully funded. Among firms that sought loans, lines of credit, or cash advances, non-employer firms were less likely than employer firms to apply at banks, but more likely to apply at online lenders. To read the full report, or to learn about any of the stories in the news roundup, go to the links in the show notes. The vast majority of small business owners will definitely vote in the upcoming November midterm elections, according to a recent survey from Goldman Sachs' 10,000 Small Business Voices. 86% of owners said they would definitely vote, and another 7% said they would probably vote. 91% of owners said a candidate's positions on small business policy would be an important factor in deciding who to vote for. However, only 12% of owners said they felt like candidates are prioritizing the needs of small businesses over those of big businesses. Small business owners, your finances are the cornerstone of your business. You need the bookkeeping pros at SBS Accounting and Advisors to keep your AP, AR, and financial statements on track. For 16 years, the good folks at SBS have been helping owners like you make better decisions and grow their profits. Go to sbsaccountants.com today to set up a free 30-minute consultation. Use the promo code FLASH to get 20% off your setup fee. Again, that's sbsaccountants.com. Well, I want to welcome to the show today Peter Penn. I've known Peter for a long time, actually from his days back in college when I used to do college ministry, and he's a great guy. And so we're just super excited to have him. Peter is the owner of Sharpin Systems, and Sharpin Systems is a systems and automation specialist company. And so, Peter, thank you for being here. And can you take just a few minutes to tell everybody exactly what you do and how you help small businesses?
Yeah, so again, my name is Peter, and the reason I founded this company is because I noticed a need in my work with small businesses that there was a need for systems and the way softwares work to be upgraded and to become more efficient. And so what I do is I go in and we just consult with businesses to get their automations, to get their customer relationship managers correct, and to get their task managers and things like that up and running in a way that's efficient for that company.
Great. And there are so many softwares out there. We're only going to talk about really 3 categories today because of the limits on time, but it's so critical to have your tech stack correct. So, Peter, will you run through, and you kind of alluded to this in your answer, but will you run through for us what those 3 critical technologies are that every small business needs?
Sure, yeah. So I did allude to it, but a CRM or a customer relationship manager and a task manager within the team or just for yourself, and an automator or some kind of automation software. Those are the 3 big ones that we work with because those are 3 key ones that we think every small business needs.
Okay, great. So we're going to kind of pick those 3 apart, starting with the CRM and kind of going, and I suspect that probably some people, like an automator, they're probably like, because most people have heard of CRMs, but probably the automator is a little bit, less common. So kind of take us a little bit more on a deeper dive through those 3, and we'll spend a little bit more time on the automator, knowing that that's the one that probably most folks haven't heard as much about.
Sure, yeah. So the first one, these will build on each other as we go, but the first one, a CRM, it's something, if you haven't, maybe you've heard of it, but maybe you haven't engaged with it fully, but what the beauty of a CRM can do is it can offer you a 360 view of a client or a lead. And what that means is every interaction, every message, email, where that person is in your pipeline, all of those things can be documented in a CRM to give you a holistic picture of a lead or a client to know where they're going and how you can get them there. So some of the big ones that we work with are ActiveCampaign, Go High Level, and Freshsales. And I mentioned those because those all have some sort of freemium element to it that you can upgrade as you go. So they're good like starting points. And CRMs are especially helpful if you're really pushing big sales.
Okay, great. And, Salesforce is a super popular CRM, sort of at the corporate level, but probably for smaller businesses, especially ones that are micro businesses, may not be the best choice for starting out just because of the complexity and the expense and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that's why we recommend going towards a more freemium approach and then going up from there.
Okay, great. And I think the next one was a task manager.
Yes. And so this one is big because we work with a lot of companies that are tracking everything in their notes app or on spreadsheets, and there's a lack of organization. And so a task manager is going to be key to organize your own stuff you need to get done and for your team. And so one of the beautiful things about task managers is that you can assign tasks to teammates and track how they're doing on those tasks. And so it's not just you thinking through everything you need to get done, but it's actually, you can see right there what needs to get done, who is getting it done, who is responsible for that task. And that you're able to ditch spreadsheets and actually move into a way more efficient way of managing your team and the things you need to get done. And my recommendations are, again, a couple freemium softwares, ClickUp, Asana, and Trello. All of those start off in certain levels of free, and you can upgrade as you go. But those are easy ones to just get your thoughts organized, and you can go from there.
Okay, great. Yes, managing by Excel is probably not the best way to do it. So definitely check some of those out. All right, and then the last one is an Automator. So tell us what that is and why that's such a great tool to have.
For sure, yeah. This is an automation specialty software. So an Automator is such a beautiful thing that people don't always realize that can help them. Some of these other softwares I've mentioned include them in because there's been a push for that recent years. So they're actually included some kind of automation in that. So it's more prevalent. But some of the examples that we'd like to tell clients is that when you automate the stuff that you're doing, you're saving yourself time and money because you're creating tasks that you do every day, and you're making a robot essentially do it for you. And these tasks can be as simple as someone clicks a link in your email that you sent out, and they immediately get a follow-up email or a text from you referencing the link they click. Or it can be as complex as you've got an application from ZipRecruiter or some kind of you're putting hiring software, and as soon as someone applies, they're put into your system and they're immediately starting down a nurturing pipeline to really nurture that lead and bring them on the process you want to bring them onto. Automation is magic. It is like the thing that small businesses really need to look into, because I guarantee there's gaps in your company that you're wasting time on that you could actually be automating and saving you time and money. And the big one for me that we work with and that I recommend is the industry standard is Zapier. And that has such a robust functionality to connect apps together and to automate essentially everything.
Great. That's awesome. And I would just add, the thing about an automation tool is that if you have a workflow in place that has all these steps that require manual work, it also requires a lot of discipline and maybe multiple people, having their hand in the process. And eventually that's probably going to break at some point. So if you have it automated, it just makes it a lot more likely that you're going to keep that process going and you're going to get results from that process. Well, this has been really insightful, and we're going to have links to the resources that Peter mentioned in the show notes, as well as to how to get in touch with Peter. So, Peter, thank you so much for being on the show today and for sharing your expertise with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for listening to Small Biz Flash. I'm your host, Adam Hewitt. If you enjoyed the show, please help me expand its reach by telling one other person about the podcast. I sure do appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.